Hello, this is RICKY, the YouTube Tech Guy. Hey guys, welcome to another episode of Mobile Weekly / Mobile Q&A. We go over all latest news that happened during the week of mobile and answer your questions live. If you have any questions you want me to answer, just ask them right now in the comments section down below, and I will answer them before the end of the show. So this week we have some news, and a lot of it is honestly from the rumor mill, and then we'll get to some of the analytics parts on some of the stuff that actually happened. So the first parts are a lot from the rumor mill, and it really is interesting to see just how far it goes. I accidentally did something, there we go. All right, so the first thing is definitely that we have a lot of speculation on the next iPhone. Now this comes from Ming-Ching Kao, I believe that's how you pronounce his name. But basically he has predicted correctly a lot of iPhone things in the past. He has been wrong about some things, and I feel like people don't point that out. Like I feel like a lot of people praise him like to a really big degree, and I'm like, you know, if you look at his track record, he's been right about a lot of things, don't get me wrong. And a lot of us in the tech community do get our information from him, kind of like when it comes to leaks. Evan Blast gets the most leaks. He gets the most Apple information for sure. But it's really interesting because I've seen a lot of people like he's always right, and like I've followed everything for a couple of years and he hasn't always been right. Not to say that I've always been right too. I mean, you guys saw last year I got some stuff wrong on the iPhone, although 2 years ago I got everything right. So again, we all kind of mess up here and there. Overall, the big thing about it is that he thinks that there will be an iPhone XS and an iPhone XS Plus. So he does think there's going to be two different new iPhones of a new style, and that there will still be an iPhone 9. So I think that's kind of curious. I don't know if he thinks, it seems like he thinks there's going to be 3 iPhones, 2 high-end and 1 low-end. And it's interesting because he also has predicted that what I predicted, what was wrong, that the SE2 will not be coming out as I predicted in April. We'll have to wait and see. That Apple might basically not do that because they just don't have the time to produce that along with the other ones. So that being said, he's guessing that the iPhone XS and XS Plus will have 4 gigs of RAM. I am very curious if they're gonna have that much RAM. That's a lot of RAM for an iPhone. And is it necessary? That's another thing, is when you have to say that. And it's also going to have a bigger battery, which is interesting. Now we know that they're gonna have L-shaped batteries, namely from LG, from what I understand, and that they are gonna have OLED displays, and the bigger one is going to have a 6.5 inch, will be the biggest iPhone ever, display wise. So I'm very curious to see how that will go. And that the iPhone 9 will be a 6.1 inch display. So these are all the predictions currently right now for it. I don't think it's going to go this route, but we'll have to wait and see. From certain things I've heard, it's, again, my prediction was that we were going to still get, we were going to get only one iPhone like the X, and that will be the higher end one with an OLED display, and that's basically going to take the position of the Plus kind of thing. And then we're going to get 2 to 1 lower end iPhone. It's still going to look like the X, but it's going to have an LCD. And then finally, I predicted that we were going to have an iPhone SE. So we'll have to wait and see how it all pans out. What are you most excited for? Are you most excited, like I think most iPhone users would be, for an iPhone X Plus? Because I think that's the thing that everyone's going to get excited for. I'm really curious on the naming schemes of everything though, because that's what none of us know. Are they going to continue the X series? Are they not going to continue the X series? Are they going to continue a lower series, and will that be called the iPhone 9? See, Apple, this is why you wanted to call it the X and not the 10, because then your lower tier could go in regular numbers, and the higher tier could then go in X2, X3, X4. You know, it would have made more sense, which I do believe Apple is going to flip that, by the way. I do believe that that's what they're going to do. I think it's going to be called the X2 and the X2 Plus, if it goes out the way he's predicting, and we will get the iPhone 9, and then next year we will get the iPhone 10, and when it'll be basically kind of retooling everything in that sense. So yeah. And then some predictors in Wall Street, which have less credibility in my opinion, are predicting that Apple Music will overtake Spotify. Now, this has been in a couple of different news articles because, again, it did come from the Wall Street. And with the Wall Street Journal saying this, I think they're really presuming too much. The reason why is because of the fact that Apple has had growth, yes, but they are new. They've only been around since, I wanted to say, I think, what was it, 2015 is I think when they started? Yeah, when they started was in 2015. So of course their growth was going to be exponential in the beginning of it. However, here's the big thing about that. It was going to be big in the beginning, but it plateaus and then it goes, again, a steady growth, but not to that degree. And the way they're predicting it is that, oh, well, at this rate, they're going to keep going up 5%. They're going to keep going up 5% every single, quarter. And each month, they're only going to get more and more and more to the point where they will pass Spotify. Well, that's assuming that it doesn't plateau. And that, I think, is the biggest kind of deterrent from this. There's only so many users and there's only so many people that really use Apple products compared to Spotify, which is on both interfaces. You have Spotify on Android and on Apple, so I think it leaves itself a lot more open. Although Apple Music is on Android, I don't know anyone that really uses Apple Music on Android unless they have two phones. Obviously, a couple of YouTubers have two phones, so if we have an iPhone and if we have like a Pixel XL, then yeah, we might use Apple Music because obviously we can just use the same music. Me personally, I use neither one of these. I use Google Play Music. To me, it's far better than both of these, especially because I get YouTube Red for free with it. So for me, that's far better. However, these both have more music options than Google Play Music. So everything is depending on how you like your music and what is most important to you. I don't think this is accurate though. I think it's going to plateau before it gets too close to Spotify, as again, it was what, 36 compared to 70. I even think at the rate that it's going to take a little bit longer than these analysts claim that, oh, it's going to happen by the summertime. I do not think that's going to happen. That's just my opinion. All right, and now let's get to the actual articles part of and the factual stuff. So Apple's iPhone sales did drop during the holidays. So during the last quarter, it did drop, but you have to understand the biggest thing is, although they made less sales than they predicted and that Wall Street predicted, they did make more money year over year still, because of the fact that they have a higher end phone. And Tim Cook did say that since the iPhone X launched, it continuously was the highest selling iPhone since the launch. Now that was in, I believe, what was it, mid-November or early November? So it didn't have the full quarter of October, November, December, but it definitely did help them in that sense. Now the real interesting part is going to be this quarter, because this upcoming quarter is going to include January, February, and March. Now March is when the Samsung Galaxy S9 is going to launch, and it's going to be interesting to see how that deters. Now, traditionally, this quarter upcoming for Apple, which I believe is their quarter 2, I know Apple's really wonky with their quarters, is going to definitely be one of their better selling ones. So it's kind of curious to see how Samsung's launch will have an impact on their sales. I think it's going to be, again, still, I think Apple will top them from this quarter. And Q4 and Q1 are theirs to win. And then, or the regular annual years, Q4 and Q1 are definitely Apple's to win. And then I think Q2 and Q3 are the ones where Samsung's going to shine. But we'll have to wait and see. It's really curious to see how well each one's going to do in these upcoming quarters. But that's the biggest thing, because a lot of people were trying to downplay it, like, oh, Apple's sales growth has dropped down, and Apple, I'm like, yeah, but they're selling more, they're making more money. So, and that's because their average profit per unit has gone up, basically. So just know that. And we also have Microsoft already dropping Windows 10s as a standalone device. It looks like they're going to bring it up as a Windows 10s mode. Now, I myself have said since the very beginning that honestly this was not worth it. I thought Windows 10s was dead on arrival. It was another Windows RT masked as something new. And I think it's really only good if you have, I think Windows 10s is only good if you have an Atom, a Celeron, or a Pentium processor, and that's about it. I do not think it's going to be good for anything else in that instance. I think if you have an i3, if you have an i5, if you have an i7 processor, Windows 10s is a waste of time. Yes, is it? Oh, well, that way you won't get viruses and all that kind of stuff. I mean, okay, I guess. Yeah, because no one will make it, but you can also get most programs, and the Windows 10 store still for apps is lackluster at best. So yeah, I just, you know, it was another failed attempt to me in front of Microsoft, and it seems like they're already giving it up on a standalone product. But again, I thought it was dead on arrival for me when it comes to that this was just going to not work out. And it seems like 60%, what was it, 60% of people took the upgrade already, basically, from Windows 10. I think it was, they took the upgrade from Windows 10s to Windows 10. And that makes sense, because if you had like the Surface Book like this one, if you're spending $1,000 basically for it, I mean, I don't understand why you would get a laptop that doesn't give you everything you should have at that price point. So that's my opinion. Did you guys even know about Windows 10s? Did you guys think it was ever gonna be a good idea? Again, the idea of it was you cannot download any regular programs to your computer. You can only get apps from the Windows App Store, which again isn't too much in my opinion. It's still not filled out as much as it should be. Yes, they got some great apps last year, but those apps should have been there years ago. So that's my opinion on it. All right, now the Mate 10 Pro actually hit the market in the US, and although this is a very interesting case to have it on, there's not many cases in the US, and I'm finishing up my review, so I did want to give it a case on there. Sneak preview though for one video that will come out, I think, on Tuesday, and that is, it is the new battery life king. Light usage, 3 days. Just saying, preview for that. But this phone, right now, if you do pre-order in the US, you are getting a $150 gift card. It does have a lot going for it. It does, I think, if you watched MKBHD and Mr. Mobile's reviews on it already, I do already agree, and it kind of sucks because, like, dang it, they said it before me. But the software is the main thing that I think is holding it back, and I think if they continue to improve the software on the product, that it is going to just be even better, and that's the really thing that I think is holding it back overall. But honestly, I was really impressed by it. I'm really curious. I'm going to reach out to them to see if we can get the Honor View 10, because that one might be a new king, rivaling the OnePlus 5T for the $500 price point. And yeah, a lot of stuff coming out, guys, so we'll have to wait and see how it goes. But Huawei is making some moves, and I honestly think that AT&T and Verizon not picking it up was a mistake. So I'll go over that more in the review later this week. And finally, the last bit of news is some leaked specs and images of the Nokia 7 Plus. Now this is going to be a mid-range phone. Snapdragon 660 CPU, dual lens Carl Zeiss camera, and again, this one could be expected to be at MWC in a couple of weeks. So all this is going down in a couple of weeks. As you know, MWC is coming up closer and closer. It's going to be on February 26th, I want to say. So that is coming up shortly. I'm really kind of curious to see what we get from it. I will not be going, unfortunately, this year, but I am working to see how good we can get the channel going to maybe go to IFA later this year in September. So we'll have to wait and see about that. Alright guys, that was all the news this week. Let me know your questions in the comment section down below, and I will answer them before the end of the show. Let me get back up to this. Alright, let's get to the first question. Quiet Storm, greetings YouTube Tech Guy, congratulations on your real estate success. Thank you, Quiet Storm. For those of you who don't know, I am in real estate, just started, and I just finished escrow on my first house. And yeah, it was over $1 million house, so very lucky. Definitely great when you have friends and family to help you out through everything. So it's been very awesome. We're closing escrow, or should be closing escrow next week for my second house already too. So going good right now. That is why I do apologize for the lack of videos this past week. 2 escrows at the same time. First time for me definitely took its toll, and that's why we didn't have many videos as of last week, so I do apologize for that. A lot lighter schedule this week, so I should be able to get videos out. I'm actually hoping to make up for last week and having 2 videos a day this upcoming week. So yeah, thank you guys. Ricky, whenever I search something on my Note 8, Samsung Finder keeps freezing. That is interesting. Try updating it through the Galaxy App Store, or sorry, now it's the Samsung App Store. Try updating it through the Samsung App Store and see if that works. Maybe it's just out of date, so try doing that. Also check if there is an update for your phone itself. Those would be the first 2 things I would try in order to fix it. My international Note 8 had an update just yesterday, so it does happen. Samsung are AI as iPhones are. Not sure what you mean. I'm not sure what you mean by all these things. They're so, or it's like a rant? I don't know. All right, I think we have a troll going on. You already said 1 curse word. Make sure you don't do it again or else you're out of here. All right, real estate tips. Real estate tips is just, you know, try to work in, the thing they always say to start off in real estate is work in your sphere. So work with all the people you know, let everyone know you're in real estate, and hopefully at least one of them will take a chance on you, and then you go from there. As soon as you have 1 success, that can trickle into everything. Good evening, everyone. Good evening. Do you know when the LG G7 is coming out? It is not coming out at MWC. LG did confirm that. So it looks like at the soonest point, LG will come out with it most likely. I'm saying towards April, May, June, which isn't out of the ordinary. I mean, LG has come out with the G series later. I remember 1 year they came out with it later, and it came out with it later, not necessarily having it, not necessarily announcing it. They announced it early, but they came out with it later after Samsung. So yeah, it happens. 30-second TV Super Bowl blackout just before halftime. I don't remember seeing a blackout right before halftime. I could have missed that, but yeah. Will Samsung make smartwatch this year, especially for females? The Gear S2 and the Gear Sport doesn't cut it. In 2017, it was the biggest year for smartwatch market. Yes, the smartwatch market has really hit a lot of speed bumps, and I really want to commend like companies like Fossil and other companies for really thinking of more stylistic, and especially for women as well. Yeah, my wife still has a Gear S2 and has no interest in getting Gear S3 because they're bigger, you know, and same Gear Sport. So yeah, she has no interest in getting another one till it's smaller. So yeah, I mean, hopefully they come out with a smaller one. Samsung will come out with a smartwatch this year. The only question is will it be 2 sizes instead of their 1 size they've been coming out with, which I think is a really poor strategy, to be honest. Hey Ricky, I'm looking to get a modem to replace Comcast garbage one. What would you suggest? You know, I've not looked at too many modems. I usually don't care what modem they give me. I'm more about the router, so I will connect a router to the modem. I love the TP-Link mesh router system that I got. I wouldn't trade it for any other router currently on the market for me, but you're talking about a Nighthawk one, so your speed might be the biggest thing rather than having full connectivity across your entire home, which was my big thing. I mean, my speed is good. I have 75 megabits per second up and down, so my speed isn't too much of an issue. For me, it was having Wi-Fi throughout my house and a lot of electronics, and so a mesh router system was best for me, but that's what I currently have. Will you review the HomePod? No, probably not. The main reason why is because of the fact that the HomePod, the biggest downside about it is it's just not getting a lot of attention in terms of reviews and sales. I mean, you can go into a store and buy it. It is not sold out at all. So it's not selling well. And honestly, I don't think it's as good of a product. I think this is too expensive a product. In all honesty, I think it's a lot like the iPad Pro 12-inch when it first came out. The first one that came out, not the one that came out 6 months later that was far better, but the first one that came out that it didn't sell well. I think the HomePod's going to be another one like that. That then they're going to revamp it and make it a lot better. I think the HomePod 2, that I do believe will come out later this year, probably in like October, November, that one will be better. Let's see. iOS 12 will be 11 without the bugs. I hope so. I mean, iOS 11 was so buggy with so many issues. One of the worst, I would say. So yeah, I hope iOS 12 is just, and that's what we're hearing right now, that we're hearing it's not going to be as big of an update as iOS 11 was, but that's namely because they don't want any bugs or issues like they got this year. I mean, you talk about every single iOS update seemed necessary. Right now, you're having some users that can't even make phone calls on the iPhone 10 because of a new bug. And it seems like every time they fix a bug, they have another one. So yeah, their quality control is definitely not the same as it once was. All right, I saw that Sony, the Sony 30,000 laser projector demonstrated at the Sony building in New York. Very impressive. It is very impressive. And again, when I was talking about that on the videos, I really wanted to make it clear that yes, it is a $30,000 projector, so it's definitely not for everyone. But if you're comparing it to a TV where you're talking about a 100-inch screen or a 120-inch screen, that for a TV like an OLED or even an LED TV, you're talking $100,000. So $30,000 then doesn't seem that much, especially if you're talking about, you know, for rich people, if they have a home theater system at a home theater room, home theater in their house, just a room for it, that is the projector they should definitely get easily. So yeah. What did you think of the Gear S3's latest firmware update? I mean, I have the big one that happened, the Tizen 3, but I don't have anything since then or that I can remember, to be honest. I will check the update because I don't think I've gotten a newer one since then. Windows 10s sounds like it's for school. Yeah, that's what they really marketed towards. But for me, it was with a $1,000 laptop, and when I think of a $1,000 laptop, I don't think of a student. For me as a student, you know, I was affording like a $500 to $700 laptop. $1,000 just seemed like unnecessary for me at the time, especially when you have to get Windows, Office, and all this other kind of stuff. I know you get discounts on it more and more now as a student, but that's just some things that I would say keep in mind. When is the Samsung MU8000 review coming out? Scruffy, I do apologize. That one should be coming out along with the Samsung laptop. Just a lot of stuff, and I got a bunch of accessories this week, which we'll be adding to our February giveaway. The giveaway will be announced tomorrow night, so the giveaway winners are going to be announced tomorrow morning probably. I'm going to email them, and then the next giveaway will be tomorrow night, and I'm going to announce what we're going for February, which is some pretty cool stuff. I'm looking at one of them right now, so some pretty cool stuff coming for that giveaway. And yes, I will do that, the TV review. I'll take performance and visuals over battery life, though. I like my SA Plus. Yeah, absolutely. No. And that's the thing. Battery life is one thing, but like camera, screen quality, performance, all this kind of stuff is all different, right? So, and not to mention the UI itself. I think that's, again, a big thing. Isn't LG software for the camera just as bad as the Mate 10 Pro? I'm actually getting the V30 next month, so I will let you know once I have it. Top gimbal for the Note 8. Right now I have the, I want to say it's pronounced Zhiyun. It's on our channel for how to improve your video quality on a smartphone. And we have that with the microphone too. So that is what I would say to check out for the best gimbal. Although we are getting the DJI Osmo 2 shortly. So we're going to be getting that one, and we will be reviewing that one soon. So yeah. What do you think about Android Auto? I haven't got the chance to review it yet, although I know you can put it on a phone, but I think if you just have it on a phone, it's honestly not worth it. I think what's more worth it is if you have it on a screen in a car. This year I will be upgrading my wife's Dash to actually have Android Auto, so I will be reviewing that soon in the future. Whoa, a whole bunch of questions just loaded. If you're new to the channel, every time I say that, you have to drink. Hi, tech guy. I know when Samsung contract is up with... I want to know when the Samsung contract is up with Qualcomm. Samsung started selling phones in the US with Exynos processors. Qualcomm and Samsung need to renew their contract. As far as I know, they're still planning on doing it. It's just always a thing of like, then Samsung also makes Qualcomm chips as well. So it's a whole thing between them on how, and Qualcomm, trust me, wants to do everything they can to keep Samsung happy right now, because right now Apple's trying to get rid of them. If Apple gets rid of Qualcomm, Qualcomm is all in with Samsung. So I only think that partnership will grow more because of the issues with that. Ricky, if Windows and Google merged together, do you think they would overtake Apple? Because they have Android and Windows are the most have the most market share. Okay, so from what you just said, what do you mean by overtake Apple? Because like you said, Android has way more. Literally, Apple in both phones and in computers is 20 and 30% of the market share. I think actually 20 in both right now, actually. So yeah, Apple doesn't, I don't know what you mean by overtake. In profit, probably not. I mean, the biggest thing is Apple has the biggest profit margins, bigger than Samsung, bigger than anyone else. So that's what keeps them profitable, in even though they sell less than a lot of other makers. And even though Samsung sometimes outsells them by double, depending on the quarter, Apple's profit margin is what keeps them afloat so far above everyone else. So yeah, I don't know if they would ever overtake them in profit margin, but if Windows and Google would merge, I mean, that is I don't know if that would not be a monopoly at that point, to be honest, because that is so big of a merger that I don't know if that would ever be allowed. I know it's early, but any idea when to start hearing about the Note 9? We won't hear about the Note 9 till probably around May or June. Did you know that your apartment complex is in the movie Guest House 2007? Wait, what? I have to see what you're talking about. What do you mean? You mean that it like looks just like it or something like that? I have to really see what you're talking about. Eric, Ricky is balling. Whoa, a whole bunch of questions just loaded. Should I overclock 8700K when I get it? I mean, why not? I mean, if you want to overclock something, you should overclock it. Yeah, for sure. That's a beast of a processor. Note 8 phone of the year for 2007. Nothing can touch it. Nothing can touch this phone. It is very hard to beat the Note 8. It is still one of the best phones out there. And yes, I would say it was definitely the best phone of 2017. But again, I mean, it will always be dethroned every time. So something will beat it this year. It could be the Note 9. Was it easy to get a real estate license? Was it easy? I would say the classes were fairly easy. I did online classes on first Tuesday That is the website that I use to do all my online classes. And then I did a crash course so I did a crash course class Saturday and Sunday, and then I took the real estate license test on Monday. If I did not take that crash course, I would not have gotten my license. So the license part getting is easy. The more so is getting really hands-on training. For those of you I know, some people asked last week, I'm with Keller Williams. The reason I went with them because they have really good training. Because like for me, I got my license. I didn't remember anything. That's just the way. I'm a really good test taker, but like 2 weeks after, I'm like, I can't tell you most of those questions anymore. So yeah, so that's I'm a good test taker, so I would say overall, yes, it was easy because of the crash course. However, I don't think it really helps just to have your license. I would say you need to be a part of a team to really help you out. And for me, my team is really, the training that I got was really what allowed me to do real estate well on my first 2 transactions. Do you think there will be a wireless battery case for the Note 8? Only ones that I saw were with a port where the plugins at the bottom of the phone to charge it. Well, there was a wireless case though. There was a wireless battery case for the Note 8, I want to say. There was definitely one for the S8, so I want to say I'd assumed there was one for the Note 8. I haven't liked Samsung's wireless charger cases that much. Maybe they discontinued it because it wasn't selling that well. They weren't selling that well, and they weren't fast charging too, so that was a big thing. It was just regular wireless charging, so it wasn't doing that good. Oh yeah, Ricky Ballin. LOL. Is 120 hertz the same as 120 motion rate on 4K's TV, or is it a gimmick? Yes, that would be basically what you're saying. Yes, 120 hertz would be like the motion rate. Yes, I will say yes. That is for the most part is. It's for entirely different purposes though. Again, the 120 hertz refresh rate on a phone like the Razer phone is the biggest thing about it is all about how smooth and silky smooth it feels on the UI. I think it's far more important on a phone or a computer than it is on a TV. That's my opinion. Especially for gaming too. I have a Galaxy S7 Edge. It lags pretty bad on and off. Is there an app to help clean it up? Check out our video on how to speed up the phone. I would say probably check out our video on how to speed up the Galaxy S8 since your S7 software is now probably similar to the S8 at this point. So check out that video and that should help you out on speeding it up. Are there any nice Wi-Fi printers you would recommend? RICKY? Oh, there's lots. I just got my brother a HP that works really well. I print every time I go over his house. I have a Samsung Wi-Fi printer that works well. Mine is the C465. So yeah, that's my Samsung one, and I forget what his HP printer was. Oh, actually, I think if I print from right here, it should pop up on my Chrome. So mine is the Samsung 460, and his, I cannot see it. No, I cannot see the HP one. I guess I didn't save it as a cloud print. But yeah, so that is the ones that I would recommend overall. I mean, overall, you can do whichever ones you want. Now, I do not know if this is still true, but back in the day, what it used to be was Canon was basically really good at documents, but not as good in photos all the time. Epson was the best photo printer, so the photo quality looked good, but the ink ran out so quickly. HP was kind of in the middle at the time. Again, this is like over 5 years ago, so by all means everything could have changed up by that time. But that's what I remember from printers. Oh, and Brother was the cheapest printer but the most expensive ink. So they always got you by getting their printer because it was the cheapest one, but then their ink was way more expensive than Epson, Canon, or HP. So that was, again, back then. But again, I always say people have their preference on brands. HP have always been really good ones for me. Ever since I had a laser printer, though, I got hooked on laser printers, so I will never go back. I'm always gonna have a laser one. And Samsung makes some pretty inexpensive laser printers compared to other companies, especially if you want with, you know, Wi-Fi as well as scanning, copying, and all that. The multi-function laser printer instead of just a regular laser printer that doesn't have copy or scanning, which I need all of those. Did you do a review on the mesh router system? Yes, I did. It is the TP-Link Deco, I believe it. I want to say it's called the Deco. Let me see, actually, because I have the app on my phone. Yeah, it's called the Deco. So the Deco, TP-Link Deco, really good and really well priced, and it goes on sale a lot. So definitely check it out. And I have the link in that video for it. What are you going, when are we going to get Bluetooth 5.0? I say at the earliest at the end of this year now. Well, someone pointed out, who was it? I always forget your username, sorry. TFR56 actually pointed out last week that, whoa, a whole bunch of questions just loaded. Pointed out last week that the Apple HomePod does have Bluetooth 5.0, and that's a really big thing that I don't think anyone's really talking about. So that is a big thing for it. Yeah, it's just in terms of it being widespread through headphones. It's at the earliest I would say we're gonna hear about it announced at IFA, and maybe it'll come out before the holidays. But because there was nothing announced at CES, and I doubt there's gonna be anything announced at MWC, I think we're waiting for a while. CES 8K TV price, if you know, please. I don't think anything was announced with those yet. Most of them I think are going to be announced in March. That's typically when the announcements come out for the new pricing on the TVs, and then we'll see how they come out. Do you think Samsung should add a Gear watch to pre-orders for the S9 or would it lead to a loss? Oh, like add a Gear watch to pre-orders? Yeah, that would be the biggest giveaway they would ever give. So they've given away, you know, $150, which was the Gear VRs, right? Those were valued at $120 to $150. And then they gave away the Gear 360 camera when those were valued at $230, I want to say. So that's the most they've given away with their phone. But you're talking about a smartwatch now, which is more like $300. I think that would be too much, but I don't know. My Mate 9 wouldn't update to Oreo. What to do? See if you can actually manually install it, but I do not know a way to force a Mate series from Huawei to manually go. Like, I know how to do it with LG, I know how to do it with Samsung, but I've never tried it with Huawei. Got a software update on my Note 8. Has anyone else gotten it? I postponed it because I was at work and then watching the game. I got it last night. I haven't really noticed a difference, but literally before I went to sleep last night, I saw it and Samsung was like, hey, we fixed bugs and all this kind of stuff. I'm like, yeah, sure. And I installed it and went to sleep. I think I heard a cute puppy in the background. I'm not sure. My dog isn't back here. So I'm not sure, unless she was barking. Maybe she was barking actually earlier. Ricky, do you use Final Cut Pro for editing? If not, why? Do you prefer Adobe programs? Most top YouTubers use Final Cut. I would say the most well-known YouTubers use Final Cut. I would not say the top YouTubers use Final Cut, because like when I go to like YouTube Spaces LA and get to meet, you know, some of the bigger YouTubers, I would say that a lot of them do use Premiere. But I would say like the top tech ones, so like MKBHD, Jonathan, I forget what's his last name. Who is it? You know, no, Linus Tech Tip doesn't. What's his name though? Austin Evans and Lewis from Unbox Therapy, they all use Final Cut, so you know a lot of people lean towards that, and your average consumer does too. But I don't use Final Cut for a very simple reason. I don't like Macs. I do not prefer Mac as an operating system. I like Windows more just because it's more versatile, and I like playing games, and come on, it's a Mac. So yeah, no, I wouldn't ever get a Mac so I would never use Final Cut Pro. So yeah, yes, you can do a Hackintosh job, and I have a computer that would, you know, run Mac amazingly, but I just have no interest in it. Snapdragon 845 or Exynos 9810, it really will depend. I mean, we haven't got either of them released yet. The first Samsung S9 I'm going to test out and review on the channel will be an Exynos, and then I'm going to get the regular one when it comes out for the 845. What do you think of the Rig 800LX from Plantronics? Whoa, that is a serious duty looking gaming wireless headset, man. I have never heard of it or used it. Oh wow, it has Dolby Atmos. That's awesome. I mean, I'm impressed by it so far. For it to have a Dolby Atmos codec included, the driver's 40mm, I mean, it looks awesome. But that's what I think right now. It looks awesome. Is it available or is it sold out? I've checked 2 places and it's sold out right now. Okay, so for $150, it looks legit. That's my thing from it. Again, I have not had too many gaming headsets. Although I will give you a sneak preview to something that we're gonna do this week. We have finally found a pair of headphones that passed the Starbucks test. For those of you who don't know what the Starbucks test is, no Bluetooth headphones have ever passed the Starbucks test. What do I mean by that? I mean by the Starbucks test is I take a pair of high-end headphones, like Bose QC35s, like the best Sennheiser headphones. I put them on in Starbucks and make a phone call. 3 phone calls to be exact. And I ask people if they can hear me okay, if there's a lot of noise in the background. What the problem with most headphones is no matter how good the noise cancellation is, on Sony, on Bose, on all these different high-end headphones, these $400, $300 headphones, no matter how good their noise cancellation is, they don't actually use that same noise cancellation technology on a phone call. So, like, if I want to have a conference call, if I want to be somewhere, say, in my last job in marketing, I was always on the go. And I would like to stop by Starbucks to do some paperwork, and I would love to take a call. But what I would always have to do is I would have my headphones on, right? So I don't have any headphones with me, but I would have my headphones on. And I would ask people, like, can you hear me? Can you hear me? Like, I can barely hear you. It's really noisy. I would take Bluetooth off, talk on my phone. They could hear me just fine. So no headphones have ever passed the Starbucks test until this past weekend. And so yeah, it's gonna be fun. What was your favorite Super Bowl commercial? Oh, I'm going to be doing a video tomorrow morning on reviewing all the Super Bowl trailers. So like the Han Solo one, the Jurassic World 2 one, the Avengers Infinity War one. So I will be doing a video tomorrow on all of those. And I'm thinking about staying up late to watch, what do you call it? What was it? Cloverfield Paradox, since it just came out on Netflix today. That was pretty crazy announcement. There was a lot of good ones. There was the Chris Pratt one. There was, oh man, I love the Groupon one. I forget her name. Tiffany, I forget her, but the girl from Girls Trip, she is hilarious. She had 2 Groupon ones that were both awesome. The Eminem one was okay. The Danny DeVito as the Eminem one. There was 2 really good ones. So I actually do this thing called the ad meter. For those of you who don't know, there's something called the ad meter. You can just Google it, and you can actually rate all of these commercials. So I'm gonna see which ones did I rate the best. The Winter Olympics one I rated pretty high. Some of the Bud Light ones were okay. The Kia Stinger one with Steven Tyler going back in time. The Alexa loses her voice one was pretty good. The avocado one. Stand By You, the Budweiser one, that was pretty good. The Stand By You Budweiser one. The Doritos one was awesome. That probably would be one of my favorites, if not the favorite. The Doritos one with Tyrion Lannister. I can't think of his name, his real name. And Morgan Freeman for Doritos Blaze and Mountain Dew. The Universal Park, the Vacation Quarterback one was pretty good, and there's a lot of other ones that I have to check out, so just have to look at all. I have 37 more to rate now, so yeah. But yeah, there's some, it's called Ad Meter if you want to check out all the commercials in the Super Bowl, and you can actually rate them, and you'll see who wins. How are people turning the Note 5 into a Note 8? I'm not sure what you really mean by that, Jerry Jones. Please explain further. Whoa, a whole bunch of questions just loaded. Greetings from frozen Chicago. Oh man, how cold is it in Chicago right now? Do extreme cold temperatures, teen digits, affect battery, screen, and phone performance overall? Always keep it in the front of my pocket. So here's the thing, actually. The colder your phone is, it will actually perform better processor-wise and RAM-wise. Because think about this. What slows phones down is overheating. So if it's cooler to begin with, your phone will actually overperform because it's like, oh man, I can crank my processor up all the way. I'm not overheating. Oh man, I can charge up quicker because I'm not overheating. Now the problem with that is if it gets too moist, then that's more effective, and then that could be bad for your phone. But yeah, so that's kind of, cooler is better. I remember, what was it, a big scandal that, these companies were getting caught on benchmark tests because they were like, I don't know what they were doing, whether they were freezing the phone or keeping it in a very cool temperature so that it would overperform in benchmark tests because it was extremely cool. So yeah, that was a whole big thing at one point. Do you know any free programs I could download for copying DVDs? No, I don't actually. Nothing I can think of actually. I just haven't needed to copy DVDs in a long time. There was so many back in the day, but I do not know. I would Google it. I would just Google it. I'm looking for a watch band that holds the Gear S3 and an Apple Watch. Does it exist? No, I don't believe so, because the Apple Watch isn't a standard band if I'm not mistaken. Or you'd have to get an adapter that does a 22mm band. I think that's what this is for the Gear S3. I think it's a 22mm band. So you'd have to get an adapter for the Apple Watch to do a standard 22mm band, and then it would work. But yeah, and those do exist. So yes, if you do that, then any band, 22mm band can work. What camera do you use? I'm thinking about getting a really good camera for video recording that's less than 500. What you're seeing right now is the Panasonic G7. So that is the one I'm currently using right now to do my overhead shots and my on-the-go filming, like what we did at CES. That is the Panasonic G85. Although I am thinking about upgrading to a GH5 this year. Depending on how mainly this month goes. If this month goes really well for YouTube, and if I obviously keep doing well in real estate, I definitely will get a GH5 and upgrade the camera overall. In terms of the G7 that you're seeing me from right now, I think used this might be around 500 now, so it might be just what you're looking for in that price range. Yeah, so I mean, I see it new for $587 on Amazon, just with a quick search right now, and used definitely going for the lower 500s. So that would be one that I would definitely recommend. It can do 4K recording at that price point, so that's really rare. So yeah, I would say for the price point, there's probably no camera in that price range that would really compete with it. There is like the Sony, what is it? The older Sonys, the Sony A, maybe 63 might be around that price by now, or still no. No, the 63 is not near that price still. 61? Yeah, so the only, oh, so I thought there was a 61. Oh, the 51 was what I was thinking of. So like the Sony A6000 might be another one to take a look at that you can probably get around 500. But for my money, the Panasonic G7 would be much better than that camera. So yeah, so hopefully that helps. All right. Will you review the Samsung Notebook Pen? I haven't heard back from Samsung yet after CES, so I'm going to try emailing them back after their announcement and see hopefully if we get some more talk about that. Ricky, can you talk about monopoly and why some acquisitions can't happen? Why can't two big companies merge together? Please explain. Okay, I'm not like a politician or anything like that, so let me make that clear for this purpose. But the whole idea behind a monopoly is if two companies are too big, then it's almost impossible for anyone else to come in and compete with them. And competition is part of capitalism in the US. So basically, you know, we want more and more companies to be in the same space, so it drives innovation, it drives change, and it drives prices lower for consumers, so consumers will buy more. That is the basic idea, but behind capitalism and competition, right? In all of its good aspects. I'm not going into all the bad parts of that obvious flaw. But you know, like in cell phones right now in the US, there's a duopoly for cell phones. 90% of sales are Samsung and Apple, really. 10% is other phones like LG, like HTC, like Google. You know, that is pretty much it though. It is 90% Samsung and Apple. So that's really big, right? You know, it's like they dominate the conversation when it comes to smartphones. But Google Pixel comes out, it starts to create more competition. It makes Samsung and Apple push themselves to do better with cameras this year because the Pixel had such a great camera last year. Huawei Mate 10 Pro comes out. It pushes innovation in AI. So now the big term is AI this year, and you're gonna hear Samsung talk about AI, and you're gonna hear Apple talk about AI in their processors this year. So that's really going to be big, and that's what competition breeds. So that's why it's good. T-Mobile, look what T-Mobile did to really take down Verizon and AT&T in the US, and they did it through innovating changes, and they got Verizon and AT&T to both bring back unlimited data. They got AT&T and Verizon to change their entire plan structure. You know, before we had 2-year contracts, we paid $200 to $300 for a phone, and we had to have it for 2 years, but we were locked into a contract. T-Mobile changed all of that. So that really was innovation, and that is the idea behind why you want competition, and monopolies keep that from happening. Case in point, one of the things that a lot of people hate about cable companies and satellite companies is you have very, or almost no say sometimes in what cable provider or satellite company you can get in your place, especially apartments, right? Apartments are a really big thing that you might not be able to get one, you know, in terms of like, oh, I want an apartment like this, or I want, at this apartment, I want Verizon Fios. Well, you can't get Verizon Fios here. You have to get, you know, Time Warner or Spectrum or Cox or whatever, you know, whichever kind of cable company you are, you're stuck with that. And that's what really sucks. So yeah. How do you become a good test taker? I mean, there are plenty of books on how to become a good test taker. Don't get me wrong, because there are things that you can do to memorize and all, way beyond my knowledge in that. For me, I mean, I'm, you know, knock on wood, I've always been a good test taker. I could cram basically a day before a test, and all of that information would stick for like 24, 48 hours. It would stick, and I would be an expert. I could pass any test within the next 24 or 48 hours. A week later, couldn't answer any of those questions. That just is how my mind worked. So that is how, and some people are naturally good test takers. Some people are really bad at test takers. Like, I had friends that would like know way more of the information, more detailed than me, could explain it better than me and everything. And it's funny because they would explain it to me, and I would do better on the test than them sometimes, just because, again, sometimes it's like when you're pulling the information, it's there or it's not. And if you can use tricks, memory tricks and all this kind of stuff to remember it, but yeah, just basics. Some people I would just say are better natural test takers, and some people are worse natural test takers. And then there's the people that, do things to make themselves better, and by hard work, they're going to be way better. So yeah. Will the Gear S4 come out with the S9? I was hearing yes originally. I will know by next week. Will the S9 have big upgrades from the Note 8? It will have a substantial camera upgrade. That's the biggest thing I would say you're gonna upgrade from the Note 8. Also, UI change. When will we be talking about Windows 10s? Because I want a laptop, but it ships with Windows 10s. I already talked about it earlier, actually. Windows 10s does come with it, but you generally, and I would check on this first, you generally can upgrade a Windows 10s laptop to Windows 10 for free within the first 90 days or so. But I would double check with whatever laptop manufacturer you're getting it from to make sure that that is still the case for that laptop. Who actually thought the Eagles were going to beat the Pats? Dude, it was so back and forth. That was a good game, and that's all you want, is just a good game. Whoa, a whole bunch of questions just loaded. No more sips for me tonight. Too much vodka. Drink responsibly, Alex. Air sipping it then. Samsung needs to give away Rigsby with the S9. It would sell like hotcakes. Oh, I mean, if it would give away Rigsby, if Samsung would get Rigsby with the S9, it would be the highest selling phone in history. I mean, let's just be honest here. Come on now. Is it really expensive to live in LA, and what do you love about it? Thanks. Is it really expensive to live in LA? Yes. Rent in LA, if you want to live like near the city of LA, because LA is a spread out city. So, some cities like New York or San Francisco are very compact. The city itself is actually, very compact. It's not going to be, you have to go further out to really get away from the city. But LA is just naturally a big city. And it's very spread out. You have places I'm sure you probably heard of, like Santa Monica, Culver City, Venice Beach, Long Beach, Pasadena, Burbank, a lot of places, and they're all spread out. They're all with traffic. These places are all an hour and a half away from each other. But is it an expensive city? Yeah, to live nearby the city in LA. And people always freak out because don't get me wrong, LA is not the most expensive. San Francisco is more expensive than LA, and there are, I think, certain parts of New York that are more expensive too. But for LA, the average, I would say, if you want a studio in LA, you're probably paying around $1,500 for a studio apartment in LA. Most houses, I would say, are over $500,000 in LA easily. So yeah. So that gives you an idea of how expensive it is in LA. What do I love about it? In LA, you have a really big mixture of cultures, and you get to meet a lot of different people. I mean, if you know me and my wife, interracial relationship, you have a lot of different cultures, so it's really great. It's definitely a melting pot in that sense. and you have really good food, because it's so many foods from all the different parts of the world. That, you get great Mexican food, get great Korean food. We love Korean barbecue, Japanese barbecue too. We actually went there with our niece the other day, and she loved it. So yeah, there's a lot of food places too. That's one of the things I love about it. And I love city life. I love being able to go to every store that is there is usually in LA and New York. And also movies. Typically all movies show in LA and New York, and I'm a big movie fan. So that's another reason to say why I like LA. I love how slow this chat is going, because the way he can answer them all. Yeah, I try to always answer all the questions. Gasp, is it true? A pair of headphones that beat the Starbucks test? Yep, it's true. Funny one of those Game of Thrones guys and Morgan Freeman rapping. Yeah, that was a really good one. What do you think about the new Ant-Man and Wasp movie coming up soon? I think it's gonna be good. I think it's gonna be a good one. I'm hoping the comedy is more like Thor Ragnarok than the comedy it was in Guardians of the Galaxy 2. The Giants Dirty Dancing. I don't think I saw that one, actually. Yeah, you can turn a Note 5 into a Note 8 by rooting in custom ROMs. Yeah, that's a way to do it. Have you heard of Honey? Is it the safe thing to use? I'm not sure. Oh, do you mean Honey for like your web browser? Yeah, that to get like free money back. Yeah, I've used that all the time. Yo, Ricky, I remember you saying how you could send up to 2 gig files in a text message on the Note 8. How do you do this, and are there better ways to send large files via text message or email? There's no better way that I can think of to send it that way, and you do it by signing up for a Samsung account and sending it through, what is it called? Why can I not think of it right now? Link sharing. So you send it through a link sharing, and that will send up to a 2 gig file. Have you ever reviewed a Huawei MediaMate Lite tablet? How is it? I have not reviewed a Huawei tablet yet, although that is in one of my to-do lists for one of the giveaways month. We'll buy it and then review it and then give it away. I meant hold both smartwatches at the same time. Oh, no, you can't hold both smartwatches at the same time. Oh, that would be really cool. Can you get a cheap DSLR like the 5T and 6T and get some decent lenses? Oh yeah, definitely. For some of the Canon ones, I would say are definitely good for that price range. I would just say definitely for video recording, I think the Panasonic is going to be good at that price range more so than the Canon. I mean, Canon has the auto phase detection, which is the fastest focus for sure, but I would say that just the quality, especially in low light, would be better on the Panasonic than the Canon in that case scenario. Why don't you have any information on the Gear S4 yet? I said I'll get it next week, dang. Is this a good home theater? Some Yamaha line, I'm guessing, by the product number. Let's see. Okay, while that loads, I'll go to another question. Chicago right now feels like 8, feels like -4 tomorrow morning. Oh, I am so sorry, Jose. I was in Chicago once, love the deep dish pizza there. Still the best pizza I've ever tasted. I have not tasted New York pizza yet, but I have tasted pizza from Italy, and I've tasted pizza from Chicago, and Chicago wins for my favorite pizza so far. I have not tasted New York, just saying. Why did Samsung remove the Smart Scroll feature? Not that many people were using it, and it was draining battery life because they had it on by default. Okay, so this Yamaha 5920 has Spotify, has DLNA, has DTS HD, has Dolby Audio, Has 4K pass-through, has Bluetooth, has Wi-Fi. I mean, it seems really good. Yeah, that seems like a really good home audio system. $600 is the sale price for it right now on their own website. Yeah, it looks legit. That seems like a really great home theater system. Yeah. I don't know about the audio quality itself, but all the features it has is awesome. Did you get invited to the Samsung event? No, I did not, guys. I'll dump my Note 8 in a flash for Rigsby on the S9 316 all day, every day. You know it's scruffy. What is the best place in LA that's nice but not too pricey? I mean, it depends on what you want, because like LA, you know, like there's some good places for like mac and cheese. There's some good places for barbecue. There's some good, you know, there's general all different kinds of stuff. Good places for burgers. The one thing I can clearly say is what's the best fancy restaurant in LA, and hands down, no competition, in my opinion, is Craft in Los Angeles. Craft restaurant. It's Tom Colicchio's restaurant, the guy who is in Top Chef. Basically, best restaurant in LA, hands down. Have never had anywhere near the level of service as that restaurant, and the food's always great, and it's just, but the service is just amazing. I am paying $1,400 for 1 bedroom in Brooklyn. So see, again, but it depends on where it is. When are you coming to NYC? I'm hoping next year. Me and my wife will make a trip down there. So yeah, or maybe for Samsung Unpacked event in you know, August. Just saying. San Diego is expensive too. Yeah, I've heard San Diego is really expensive. Can you believe I've lived in Los Angeles? I've never gone down to San Diego. People always tell me I'm crazy all the time. I have a friend that goes there almost every weekend because his fiance's family is from there, and I just never go there. Only been to LA once. Enjoyed it when I came. Yeah, like you were telling me how Chicago's freezing right now. LA is sunny. It's just, you know, we're always sunny. We're always just like, you know, I used to think it was the most boring weather ever until I started talking to everyone when I would go to these marketing conventions. Everyone was like, yeah, man, it's freezing. We're like, negative 5 degrees below. What's it like where you are? You know, 80 degrees. LA just has awesome weather. That is probably the best thing I would say about LA, the weather. Wow, a pair of headphones beat the Starbucks test. Ooh, do tell which ones. You will find out later this week. Like the background music, thank you. I have a friend in LA, forget what town he lives in, but he has a pool and a nice 2-bedroom. Yeah. New York pizza is the best, totally not being biased. Again, I will see. I think we have Chicago pizza, but never went. It looks like a lasagna to me. But see, I like my crust a little bit thick. Like I feel like if the crust is burnt, it loses some of that texture. I don't like crispy pizza. I like a nice, you know, amazing pizza. And like in Italy, it wasn't burnt. In Chicago, it wasn't burnt. But that's my, because anytime I hear New York style, and I know, when we have New York style pizza in LA, it is not New York style. I get that. I understand that. But it's super thin, and I'm like, it always gets burnt. I don't know if they don't know how to cook the pizza right, you know, but that's my thing with thin pizza. Totally not, but seriously, I believe you. I'm in Orlando. The rent is super high and jobs aren't paying anything. How do I connect 2 Gmails to my Note 8? Also, will you do a review on the Samsung Icon X 2018? I was thinking about it, but I didn't know if Samsung was going to already replace them with the S9 launch. So I'm waiting for that first before I get anything. Here's the thing. With the phone, to get more than 1 Gmail on it, all you have to do is go into settings, accounts, and just add a new Google account. Once you add a new Google account, then you go into Gmail and you hit the little hamburger menu button at the top left, and then you tap your email address and then you have all your other emails. Like I literally have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I have 5 email addresses signed in on my Google account on my daily driver. So yeah. I believe the song is "It Never Rains in Southern California." At least that is what they're telling me. Yeah, no, it almost never rains in there. It's Always Sunny in San Diego is my favorite show. Do you think songs Plain Jane and No Limit sound the same? I'm not sure actually with that. I would have to listen to that. I don't know about it. Okay, now I think it's just a troll, but we'll see. All right, guys. How are we doing on time? I think we should start wrapping up for the night. But yeah, a lot of stuff coming this week, guys. Tomorrow morning, I'm going to do a review of what I thought of all the Super Bowl movies, trailers, including the Solo, including Skyscraper, including Jurassic World, and including Cloverfield Paradox, and another one. Tomorrow night will be the announcement for the, for the giveaway, for February's giveaway. And we're going to be doing 2 giveaways in February. One will come towards the end of February, our anniversary for the channel. For our 6-year anniversary for the channel is February 16th. So on that date, we will be having another giveaway, and that giveaway will not be a Patreon giveaway. It will be a giveaway for anyone that is subscribed to the channel. So I'll tell you guys all how to sign up for that when that comes out. That will come out on February 16th. And then Tuesday, we are going to have the gaming review for the Dragon Ball FighterZ game. And we're going to have, I'm working on the Monster Hunter review now. I'm just starting to play that one now as I finish with the first game. So all that. All right. Nice. Okay. All right, guys. I think we will call that a show. Lots of stuff coming out this week. Let me know what stuff you guys are interested in for giveaways. As always, that's one thing I'm always asking you guys. Let me know what kind of stuff you want to see in future giveaways, because that's one thing that I'm still always like, oh, what should I get this month as a giveaway? I might get the Icon X 2 for a giveaway. I think that would be a good one. And I want to do more smartphones and more tablets as well, because I think those are like really wow giveaways. If you win a smartphone or if you win a tablet, I think you get really excited for that. All right, guys. Thank you as always so much for watching. This has been RICKY, the YouTube Tech Guy. Thank you for watching our video. If you liked it, why don't you go ahead and subscribe up there. Make sure you follow us on social media right here. And of course, check out our latest video up there. And right down here, you're going to find the perfect video for you. Or at least that's what YouTube tells me. Thanks again.